Hello there everybody, it is me XFreezerBunny and welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build. So today we're back with another tiny house build, and this time we're building the Brutalist tiny house. Now this is a fully functional tier 3 tiny house. It's got 2 bedrooms surprisingly, and if I remember correctly it should be under 40k. Not sure about that actually, but it should be under 40 to 50k because I did work under a budget for this one, and I am so excited to finally be back with another tiny house build. I kind of see this build as like the spiritual successor to an earlier house build I did way back before Tiny Living was even announced. I believe it was about a year before Tiny Living came out. If any of you guys remember my micro home build from 2019, this one is kind of like the spiritual successor to that, and this build would not have been possible without the tool mod and all of the fun little tricks that it lets us do with all of these items, which I think really makes the build look a lot more special. So for the record, this is not an original design. This was actually inspired by a real-life architectural studio that is based here in the Philippines called Kali Architects. So full credits to them for the design of this house, but the moment I saw their design on Facebook, I knew I had to recreate it in The Sims 4, and I'm really happy with the end result. But anyway, I just want to take a second to announce the winner for my Blooming Rooms kit giveaway. So if you guys saw my last build, I did host a giveaway, and congratulations to the winner. At the time of recording, I've already talked to them and I've already given them their code. So congratulations to all of them, and to all of you guys for participating. Thank you so much, and you can look forward to more giveaways in the future as well. But other than that, I'm really excited to introduce this new style to you guys. If any of you are not familiar with Brutalist architecture, it's kind of like an architectural style that came out in the mid to like the later part of the 20th century, and I believe it still falls under modern architecture. And Brutalist architecture is kind of known for its use of concrete, and particularly a lot of unfinished, well, actually not unfinished, it's more of like the concrete finishing, it's just left raw, so it's basically exposed concrete, which is really aesthetic. Maybe not my personal aesthetic, but it does look pretty good in some buildings. I also noticed that a lot of Brutalist structures tend to be really massive as well, and a lot of them are pretty iconic, I would say. Yeah, there's definitely quite a lot of them where I'm from. I do live next to my country's cultural center, which has a lot of Brutalist structures that were built in the 60s and 70s and 80s, I believe. So I'm quite familiar with this style, even though I'm not really a huge fan of it, to be quite honest with you guys. But this particular design also has a little bit of like futuristic elements to it as well, I would say, or like maybe even deconstructivism, if you can see, with just the shapes and how kind of like out there they are, if that makes any sense. I don't know, I'm just throwing around some architectural terminology for you guys, but any of you who have some opinions can feel free to let me know in the comments. I always love talking to you guys in the comments and opening up discussions about different architectural styles. I am curious to know, what is your guys' favorite style of modern architecture? Okay, so yeah, I think I'm gonna go for like minimalism. I really like minimalism right now, especially like considering how stressful life is right now. I just really love the look of minimalism, particularly maybe like more Japanese or like Scandinavian minimalism. I really like that style. But as you can see right now, I am making some pretty good use of these these floor tile pieces from Spa Day. These are definitely some of my favorite items to use to create different architectural shapes because they are so like easy to manipulate with the tool mod, and they can make some pretty interesting shapes that aren't really possible with the pre-existing rules that we have for the walls and floors of The Sims 4. So I definitely had fun with the shape of this house. It definitely took me way longer to finish the exterior than to furnish the interior, so I would say probably like a third or maybe like 2/3 of this build is actually just me, you know, doing the exterior details, and I really am so happy with how it turned out. But yeah, Spa Day is definitely one of my favorite packs to use. I know it just got refreshed recently, but I've always loved Spa Day, especially like the build mode items. It's just so amazing. I don't think I can live in The Sims without the bathroom tiles that came with Spa Day. Like the walls and floors are just amazing. And yeah, I am so happy with how the shape is turning out so far. As you can see, I think the use of those Spa Day floor tiles to kind of like just play around with the shape and make it more kind of like, I would say, sculptural, definitely like makes this build look more unique. And I love that little cantilever area that overhangs over the garage. I think that's a pretty good use of space to kind of like make a canopy for, you know, where you would park your vehicle. Speaking of vehicles, I'm still missing cars in The Sims 4. I would really love to see a car expansion pack in the future, even though it's probably not going to be functional because The Sims 4 is, you know, not an open world game, but, you know, maybe they can, you know, implement it in a way that is more similar to how they did it in The Sims 2. I would really love to see it. You know, basically The Sims 2 also was not an open world game, but the cars still had animation. I think if they made it so that you can just click on the car without having to go onto map view, because that's one thing that I actually really don't like about The Sims 4 is just how much immersion breaking traveling from one lot to another is, especially if you're going into a different neighborhood. You have to go through like so many different screens just to get to like one neighborhood. So I think having cars would make that a little bit more immersive, like, because I feel like it would be way more immersive if I won't have to see like a menu screen just to go through another lot. But yeah, speaking of cars, there is that one car from base game that I thought was gonna be perfect for that build, and that is the one I used right here in this build. So as you can see, that car just looks so perfect with this build. It even matches the color actually, and some of the architectural details as well kind of like match with this building, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, I wasn't quite sure what to do with the landscaping for this build, to be honest, because I want the focal point to be in the architectural details of the house itself. So I kind of went pretty subtle with my landscaping, and it's pretty much my usual go-to landscaping, which is more, you know, naturalistic, not really that, you know, not that like overly manicured, if that makes sense. I prefer like more naturalistic landscapings, a lot of grass, you know, not really a lot of like flower beds and, you know, curated stuff. I like things to look like they're like just naturally overgrown. And for this build I did use quite a lot of tropical you know, tropical plants, because I definitely see this probably like somewhere in like the Philippines, or maybe like, I don't know, actually Brazil I think would be a really good spot for this build as well, because Brazil is also one of those countries that actually does have a lot of history with like modern architecture. Like some of the most notable modern architectural designers are actually from Brazil. When I was in college, I actually did a report on like one of the most famous Brazilian architects, Oscar Niemeyer. I still don't know how to pronounce their last name, but yeah, Oscar Niemeyer, who is responsible for like, you know, some of the more iconic Brazilian structures like in Brasilia, I believe he played a role in designing their capital city, if I'm not mistaken. So anyway, moving on to the interior, once again I made use of this raw finished concrete. And one thing about Brutalist architecture is that the color scheme tends to be monochromatic as well. So I did try to initially use some wooden accents, but that just wasn't working for me. I didn't feel like it really went with the aesthetic, so I will change a lot of the wood tones with just the plain white. And I feel like that just really brought out the natural details that are in the concrete. So I'm really happy with how that turns out. So this color scheme that you're seeing right now will be changing at some point. But as I mentioned earlier, this build does have 2 bedrooms. And I would say the bedroom on this floor, which is the one to the left, using the Murphy beds, is kind of like more of like a guest bedroom. I don't really see it as like a permanent bedroom because, you know, I would say for the most part it would be used as more of like a living room. And then there is a bedroom upstairs with a bunk bed, and in my mind that would be more for like the, you know, regular everyday bedroom basically. So technically you can have like maybe 2 Sims live in here comfortably. I definitely did this for like a fashion influencer actually, so yeah, I think you'll see more of the fashion influencer items as we go into the second floor. But yeah, I just tried to fit in as much as I can in this first floor. Actually, I'm not even sure. Is this like, I don't know, it's a mess depending on where you are in the world. This would probably be the first or the second floor actually. I'm not even gonna get into that because even that confuses me sometimes. But yeah, the kitchen is pretty compact. Thankfully we have the mini fridges, so I was able to use them as also a surface to have the microwave. I might have to get rid of the oven because I believe I put like an oven in here, but I think that might be too much. I think that might be over budget, so I might have to like get rid of the oven. But there is a hot plate over there in one of the counters, so I think your Sims should be able to cook stuff in here. I haven't actually done that much gameplay ever since we got Dream Home Decorator, so I'm not sure like which kitchen appliances work exactly, but yeah, we'll see. I should have really play tested this before uploading this, but I think I'm pretty sure it should work pretty much. Again, I did work on a budget, so I had to be very selective with the items that I chose. So the bathroom is pretty compact. There wasn't any room for a sink in here, so I just ended up placing a toilet and a shower, but I'm pretty happy with how it all came together. I think the bathroom looks pretty okay. I will say that as far as the layout is concerned, if you're staying like on this top floor, it might be a hassle to have to go all the way downstairs just to use the bathroom. So yeah, that might be some poor planning on my part, but yeah, we'll see. I think the Sims wouldn't mind actually. But yeah, this is the topmost floor. Third floor, second floor, wherever you are from in the world, it's gonna be different. But yeah, I did put a bunk bed because, you know, why not? You know, the more people we can have in this house, the better, right? But yeah, as you can see, this is where I made up my mind that I was gonna make this for a fashion influencer. So, you know, there is a desk and there's like some workspaces in here basically to like edit their content that they're posting online. And of course I did have to use Moschino because honestly that is one of my favorite stuff packs. I just love the items from Moschino. Surprisingly, the thing about Moschino is that I feel like the weaker parts of the pack is Cass, which is surprising because I think that should be the opposite, right? For a fashion pack, I think the build buy mode items are a lot stronger. But yeah, you can see that I put like a chair next to the window, and that's where I kind of envision them to like film their content and stuff. By the way, before I forget, there is a little extra room downstairs where I will probably put like a washer and dryer as well. So yeah, I think that's actually pretty much it for this build. It was a little bit short this time around, but I hope you still enjoyed it either way. But yeah, that's going to be it for me. Thank you all so much for watching. You all have an awesome day. Enjoy the rest of the video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.